So the Japanese Jujutsu Kaisen fans have been going to war with the international fans as of late. And when I say international, I mean just pretty much everyone that isn't Japanese. And it's because we, most of us I guess, have been enjoying episode 4, you know, Maki's Kill Bill homage, and not really enjoying episode 3, which was Tengen's Yap Fest. It's actually gotten pretty extreme, but also pretty funny, at least to me. And this is, I guess, mainly been happening on Twitter, but it's like spread out to the rest of social media. But let's take a look at some of the greatest hits. So Makura Amers said, Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3 Episode 4 apparently has a 9.8 out of 10 rating overseas. In the end, those guys are only interested in fights. Amazing animation, such an awesome aura. That's all they're saying. The episode 3 that explained the rules of the culling game is an easy to understand way for anime only fans with original anime content and got massive praise in Japan. Only scored 7.7 out of 10 over there. So this is totally understandable. I genuinely don't think it's a knock on someone viewing something if they enjoy action more so than just talking. That's always been the case, and it very likely always will be. And also, there's always going to be gatekeeping with this stuff, especially in the online communities, such as with these individuals. And this tweet blew up big time, but their response to this is really funny. After like all of the responses to this, they had said, "I'm convinced coexisting with foreigners is impossible. Let's close the country off. Our values are just too different." They're definitely saying this unironically. And no, I'm not saying that this is indicative of all Japanese people, of course, but I have been there. I stayed there for at least a month in Tokyo, and I was getting that energy quite a bit. Not from everyone. I met quite a few cool people there. And I get it. If you're like a hardcore about this and you're looking at it as some sacred piece of art, you might be offended, depending on how closely tied you are to this. And I've talked about this many times before, sorry if I'm repeating myself, but we have to look at the majority of things, the majority of the viewers. And surprisingly, no, it is not the people that are yapping on social media. Those are not the majority. The majority are just people that just tune in and watch when something is getting attention. Like, oh, new season of Jujutsu Kaisen, let me watch it. I watched season 1 and 2. I liked Gojo. And then they see episode 3, they're like, oh, this is too much talking. It's kind of confusing. I didn't really enjoy that too much. But then they see episode 4, they're like, oh, a lot of action and killing and strong female protagonist. I like it. Makes sense to me, right? Those people aren't on Twitter like looking up opinions and seeing like, oh, they didn't like this. They're just minding their own business. Like I said, the majority are just casuals, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's probably a better way to go about things, not being a psycho about stuff the way that I am. I have quite a few friends in real life, and when I say real life, I mean, you know, not a part of YouTube and stuff like that just casually consume anime, and that's the beginning and the end of it for them. But there's just a lot of people that don't seem to understand that. They kind of just get lost in their own echo chamber or stuck in their own niche, thinking that it is like bigger than it actually is. Now, another criticism that the Japanese fandom seems to have is the adaptation of episode 4. Because Unchi X223 said, the latest episode of the Jujutsu Kaisen anime is seriously awful, huh? Putting aside how the directing is so over the top, it's just lame. In the scene where Hiromi and Maki are fighting, Ranta's desperately trying to stop it, but Jogo's just, I think he means Junichi, is just casually strolling around like an idiot. He's not even paying any attention, yet he goes and says something like, "Don't mess with me, Jogo-san." I can't think of anything other than the production team hasn't read the official manga. It's totally different, man. So I get this. I mean, I've probably said this in some of my reviews of anime or whatever, but I ultimately didn't really care about it. Did I wish things were better? Sure, but it's like urinating into an ocean of urine at this point. Now, I will say they are somewhat justified in this Junichi sequence because it is pretty funny. Like, as Ranta is like dying, trying to hold Maki back here, he is just casually strolling up like, yeah, you know, I'll take my time. And it doesn't play out like that in the manga. By the way, when Gege was drawing this sequence, he was like going through some serious burnout or something because he turned in like a rough draft of this and then went on like a month break afterwards, but that's besides the point. You see Junichi like sprinting towards Maki in the original sequence of the manga. In the anime, he's just, you know, aura farming. And that's ultimately what that sequence is. Some people try to justify it as saying like, well, the director wanted to illustrate that Junichi had accepted death, that he was taking his time because he already knew that things were over. It's like, No, it's just aura farming. That's all it is. You don't have to look too deep into it. That's all this series is. It's just hype moments and aura. That's why it's popular, not because of Tengen yapping. But in the end, I think episode 4 was great. It was a good adaptation. But I'm also at the point where I'm just really appreciative that something is better adapted than One Punch Man is. It didn't have to be a perfect one-for-one of the manga, and also the way that we read manga is very individualized. It's kind of like reading a book. Like, you have your own experience with it that no one else is really going to have. You're going to perceive these sequences much different than other people. So in the end, I guess what I'm saying is that there's no one right way to enjoy art or media or whatever. It doesn't matter how good something is or how great you think it is or how much critical acclaim it gets. It only matters if something is popular. You know, just like pop music. That is the most popular music, but often not critically acclaimed or considered to be quality. Because it doesn't matter. People are just enjoying it. You know what I'm saying? It's like fast food, McDonald's, whatever. It's the most consumed food in the world because it tastes good and it makes you feel good. But depending on how deep into nutrition you are, you could just straight up consider it poison. You know what I mean? Jujutsu Kaisen is like the popular anime right now. It doesn't have to be great. It just has to be considered good by the majority. Because, you know, this series ultimately boils down to hype moments and aura. And I know that angers a lot of people when I say that, but it's like the truth. I'm not trying to like lie or try to seem like I'm cool for saying that. It just is what it is. I love Jujutsu Kaisen. I've been following it for like 5 years now. I was following it before most of you even knew what a Gojo was. If anything, I would try to raise the stock of it so that I could get more attention. But I just want to be straight up and say it is what it is. Hype moments and aura. Is the writing good? Sure. Is it great? I don't think so, but it's not bad. I don't know. I'm kind of losing myself, but I don't think there's a real reason to like have this civil war between things. I mean, the Japanese fandom is going to be the way that they are. They're not perfect. I've been to an anime convention and I talked to plenty of them, and they're not like these profound manga geniuses that you think that they are. But I understand why they feel the way that they do, and I also understand the way that the international or the Western fans feel that they do. But like I said, in the end, just enjoy what you want and don't care what other people think about it, because it doesn't matter. Just enjoy what you want. If you didn't like Tengen yapping and you liked Maki killing people, good. You should. That's normal. But I think I've already talked enough. Let me know what you guys think about this discourse in the comments. If you liked the video, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day and I'll see you in the next one.